Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with talking tactics, and probably not going to be a pleasant talking tactics. Unfortunately, we have not secured Champions League football. We have secured Europa League football and a top 6 spot. So we'll get Gareth's views towards the end of the show on, I guess, what would be a season of great moments, but also very frustrating ones too. But obviously, we fell short at the final hurdle against Manchester United of all clubs. So we're going to get right into it, go through all of the tactics and all of the game analysis. Gareth, before we kind of get the visuals up, we were talking before we came on, just a disappointing performance, and a word that you mentioned, half-hearted, and that's what I was looking for in terms of how to describe it. And it's just so disappointing and so surprising as to that performance about what was at stake.
Yeah, normally these boys, they turn up in the big games, or they try to anyway. And I think that was the game of all games, really, where you really needed to do that. I don't think it was helped with refereeing decisions. I've got to say, I'm with the club on that. But it just half-hearted. That's all it was. Like you said about the pressing and stuff, it was just, a lot of it was half-hearted for me. You just thought that they would turn up there, and they just didn't at all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's so disappointing. I mean, take out the stakes with the game, and maybe we can talk about mentality and say that those stakes were the reason why some of the players didn't turn up. But I think even half a good performance, not about half-hearted, but even just a 60-70% performance would have probably been enough to get over the line against Manchester United and get even a victory, let alone what ended up transpiring where they only needed to get a point. But we just couldn't do that. And the way we started the game, the approach that we had, the way we weren't willing to go to battle them man for man and win our personal battles, and that kind of set the tone within the first 10-15 minutes for what was to be the story of the game, really.
Yeah, I wonder whether he told them to be cautious, just let's see the game and let's just see how it goes and see if we can get one second half like we tend to do in these sorts of games. I wonder whether that was his instruction or not. I don't know. But they didn't start with the intensity that we've seen before, the possession-based football that we've seen before. And Manchester United were just so wasteful. I mean, anybody else they were there for the taking, weren't they? But like you say, all we needed was a point. I think if the Rodgers goal goes in, I think it's a different story.
Yeah. And I love to use that as an excuse, to be honest. But that was a big moment. Also, the Emi Martinez sending off was a huge moment as well. So, it was just indicative of the game that a situation like that would happen with Martinez, where we're trying to play calm and act like we're calm and composed when we really aren't. And then all of a sudden that kind of panic station set in. And then, something was going to happen where we'd get some sort of decision or situation go against us. And yes, it was a howler, but like I said, I'm loath to use that as an excuse because we only really had to show up, like I say, 60-70%, and then we've got the result. That's what's so disappointing to me.
Yeah, I can't argue with you. I think maybe if it does go in, like you say, but then Martinez is sent off. So it could have been a difference. So would we have held out at 1-0 at Old Trafford? Probably not. But even then, we could have held on for a draw. You would more likely say a draw would have been the result for us to hang on to out of the two.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It would have given us it would have changed mentality and frame of mind in every situation. It would have changed the mentality and frame of mind for us. For Man United, might have been like, you know what, is it worth it? Newcastle would have all of a sudden had to have pushed and pressed and done whatever they needed to do, and then Forest might have thought, right, we need to get to jump up in this game. So I don't know. It would have changed a lot, but yeah, it would have obviously put us in a great position, and it was a very, 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 very poor decision. That being said, did want to bring up this slide first. This is usually the one that we end with, but I just wanted to show this because in the game where Man United were 15th with nothing to play for, Aston Villa had everything to play for. This is the control of the game. This is just, I can't believe what I'm seeing.
It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing of all the things. I mean, the only zone that we controlled was in our own penalty area. It's shocking.
Honestly, mate, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Yeah, just every single element of the game was controlled by Manchester United, and we had nothing. And I just, like I said, that they went man for man. We just could. And you think with the likes of Boubacar Kamara, the likes of Amadou Onana, the strength that he has, Morgan Rogers, the strengths that he has, that we couldn't win a tackle, that we couldn't impose ourselves on the game. Just, I can't believe it.
It's the saying goes, a million miles off it. They were a million miles off it everywhere across the pitch. It was shocking. And when I plotted that, I couldn't believe it myself. I double checked everything. I thought this can't be right, but it was, and it's terrible. It's shocking.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the tail of the tape. Anything that stood out to you here off the back of what we've just seen there?
Just Man United dominating pretty much nearly every stat. I mean, this is a poor Manchester United, side. But look at our pressing actions. We allowed 18.2 passes from Manchester United before we made a defensive action of any sort. That is the worst all season by a country mile.
I can't even explain it. And then passing networks. Anything for you to see here about both teams, or what? Were we too spread out? Is that showing that we're way too spread out? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I plotted all the subs as well because the minutes were a bit sort of dodgy from both sides because of the substitutions, especially Man United's early on with Dalot. So I decided to plot all the subs. But again, you're looking at using Pau Torres, but then a lot of it we're going out through Ezri Konsa and Matty Cash, which is our weaker side in building up through possession, which I couldn't quite get my head around. We're looking to feed Morgan Rogers straight in. Fair enough, I kind of get that. We're struggling with the width of Manchester United's 3-4-2-1. We clearly struggled with the width of it, with the two wing backs high, and it was utterly confusing as to what we were trying to do. We were trying to force them out wide, which is actually where they are, pretty much quite a decent side. But you've got Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes in those pockets there up on that top left, and we just really struggled with it all.
Yeah, I mean, I was really, really, really disappointed with. And he's done this before, Boubacar Kamara, in some of these bigger away games. He's kind of gone missing. You talk about Newcastle away, PSG away, and now Manchester United away. And the way he let Mason Mount just run off him time and time again in that first half. And you think, you're a good enough player to impose yourself on this game. And I just don't quite get with Boubacar Kamara. I mean, I love him and I think he's a brilliant player, but he needs to sort out this mentality issue away from home in some of these big games.
it come up a recording error, and both of us went off. I think, yeah. So I think you're right. I think he does need to step up in these big games, and I think he sort of flitted in between it, in very much in and out, didn't he? And he didn't cover runners a great deal. And I thought he committed a few needless fouls as well. And you could see that he was sort of behind in the game. He wasn't sort of up with the pace of the game a lot. But then we could say that for quite a few of them, couldn't we?
100%, 100%. Quick look at the sonars for Villa. Anything to write home about here in terms of passing frequency and direction of passing?
It's just Onana for me, sort of sitting in that central role with Kamara sort of spread to the right a little bit, like he's trying to, again, like you say, he's trying to cover off Fernandez and Mount. But they've crowded that out, sort of like with Konsa and Cash, and there's three of them trying to deal with. So that's leaving space elsewhere. And I just think a lot of that, especially when we look at Ollie Watkins and stuff like that, what is he doing? Where's these passes going? They're going backwards, they're going to the side, but there's no sort of a lot. There's more variation, but there's no sort of structured route to it.
Yeah, it was poor. It was so poor. Man United, just a quick look at them. Anything to sort of discuss on them? Obviously, they like to hit the ball wide. Bruno dominating it,
holding that. Yeah. I mean, like Rasmus Højlund holding that ball up nicely and playing it back into those spaces where we can see players like Fernandez and Mount. Look at Fernandez. Look at that. That wheel is almost perfect. He's going in different directions. He's able to do stuff. But the shape is good for Manchester United. I have to say, the shape is good.
Yeah. Typical to put in the best performance against us. XG. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, it's shocking from both sides, in all honesty, with 25 for Man United, and only the 2 goals to shout for it, but an XG of 2.95, they've almost done their business, and it doesn't really make any difference. But for us, 0.39 with just 6 shots, 1 on target. Again, shocking.
Yeah, and momentum of the game. I mean, a couple of little flashes for Villa, but yeah, pretty much all United.
Yeah, and the thing is, it doesn't change much after the red card. There's a bit more frequency in XT for Manchester United, but the pattern remained the same. 2.32 expected threat and just 0.53 for us. It beggars belief. Yeah.
Distances covered and touches. I mean, anything that you was, I say disappointing. I mean, look at Marco Asensio, 12 touches, 2.1 kilometers.
The one that really got me was Kamara, talking about 14 kilometers per game. He's half that since last week.
Yeah. Someone asked a question. I can't remember who it was, but mentioned about, I think someone was really low and the goalkeeper was higher than them. I can't remember, but yeah, I don't know if they were talking about where the stats had come from and stuff regarding this, but it has to be accurate.
Yeah, it does, and it probably is, to be honest. But some of these are terrible. All of us, McGinn in the 6s, Maatsen in the 8s. But you're looking at someone like an older Casemiro, 19 kilometers. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it shows you when you're playing without any sort of, you can just go out and enjoy it. What you do, especially if you're not getting any pressure off the player who's meant to be marking you. If Marco Asensio is doing nothing, then you're just going to keep running off him and just do what you want.
Yeah, you're able to carry the ball in possession a fair way. You're able to jog back. You can jog around. You haven't got to sprint so much. You can cover more ground, more area of the pitch. But he wasn't out of this world, Casemiro, was he again? But
no.
For him to perform and play like that, when you've got likes of Kamara and Onana.
Yeah. Defensive shape. I mean, is this kind of sort of distorted by the fact that Villa had 10 men for second half?
Yeah, probably. But again, you're looking at that space on that Villa sort of defensive right there, where we talked about Fernandez and Mount doing a lot of their work, and you can see the Cash, Rodgers, Kamara sort of conundrum there, and Konsa having to sort of be central, where the other three McGinn, Maatsen and Tozer having to come to that left-hand side a bit more. So they're just, Man United tried to stretch those two pockets and create a bit of space centrally, and it kind of worked for them on and off. That they just didn't have a great game plan, but yeah, they didn't have to, did they?
And the last one we're going to look at, goalkeeping performance. I mean, you're not... How we didn't test this goalkeeper, I do not know.
Yeah, for me, this was the worst viz that I plotted. I couldn't believe, apart from the zones of control, it was just, this one for me was just so shocking. You know, to forget about Robin Olsen being in goal, forget about that, but to just have 0.04 that he had to face, like you, how did we not just hit one? Hit one.
Yeah. And like we said, I mean, reflecting, you know, what I think when the dust settles and when we kind of know what we've got to go with next season and all that sort of stuff in pre-season, we'll look and think, you know, Europa League is good competition to go into, top 6 finish, 3 European seasons in a row, all that kind of stuff. But blimey, it's been a season of missed opportunities as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, missed opportunities is probably a good turn of phrase, to be honest. But, you know, yeah, I think you're right when it does. So Europa League isn't the worst. You know, we've been similar, so we can't. We've got European football, the Thursday, not the Tuesday or the Wednesday. Use for you. I think that's right.
Yeah, well, Gareth, it has been an absolute pleasure doing these shows with you every week, or the vast majority of weeks. I know we've had 1 or 2 little things getting in the way for some of the Talking Tactics shows, but it's been a pleasure, mate, doing these with you this season. Hopefully we'll be back next season for them as well, and I think we'll do maybe some summer pre-season specials, talk about some players, maybe some targets that Villa are maybe looking at and who they might want to look at. I know you do a lot of scouting and a lot of data analysis across the summer, so we'll definitely be back with some of those shows. But where can people find you with your analysis and with all these visuals?
Yeah, we'll post it on at One Villa Analysis after this. Brilliant stuff.
Well, Gareth, been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for all your work this season. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 6,000 subscribers, so please do like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below on this game and on the season, and maybe some players who you want Gareth to maybe take a look at for some of our Talking Tactics specials over the summer. But for now, thank you for watching, and as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.